It's finally time for a Celtic Link tier list. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we're, against my better judgment, we're doing a little bit of something that, I've long since been putting off, right? Many of you guys are always asking me how I would rank certain units, and, I've always kind of been adverse to tier lists in Dokkan Battle because I don't think they tell the true story of a unit's performance, right? Because, in my opinion, a lot of people tend to, right, look at top 10s and then forget about everything else. So let me preface this by saying that just because a unit is here and a unit may not be here that you think should be here does not mean I think that those units are poor, bad, perform badly, whatever the case may be. It just means that in my personal experience, based on the tests I've done with these units, you guys have all seen my Grand Tours. This is kind of how I place their performance. Now, when I rate units, I am looking at three major things, right? I am looking at one, consistency. When I use this unit, do they do what they're supposed to do consistently, right? I don't mean do they win consistently. I mean, although that is certainly a factor, I mean, what does their kit say they're supposed to do, and do they do that as often as possible, right? Second, I look at versatility. How many different places can these units be used, right? Are they locked to very, very hyper-specific teams? And then finally, I look at raw power, right? Now, raw power can mean one of two different things, right? Defense or offense, right? Sometimes the offense is so great that it might eclipse some of the other things. A great example of this is LR Tech Broly, right? Not the greatest unit defensively, but his offense eclipses so much everything else that it's worthy of considering him, on any tier list simply because the offense is so great. So that's kind of what I mean by that. So those are the three major things we're looking for here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop in. Again, this is my top 10 tier list. I'm going to give my explanations for each of the placements as we go through. Feel free to comment in the description down below how you would rate the units, whether you agree or disagree. And if the response is overwhelmingly positive, I may continue doing these more often, right? And I don't mean positive by agree with me. I more so mean, just respectful and, generally like good conversations are being had, right? Because you know how tier lists tend to be, how defensive some people get about them. So as long as the conversations can remain positive, I will continue to do these. That's going to be my only stipulation for continuing this, because I know you guys always ask, and I do feel bad that I can never oblige. So here we are obliging. So let's hop on in. So we got the list of candidates, I think, for the top 10. And so let's start with number 10. So at number 10 are actually two EZA units, and the reason I put them both at number 10 is because on their specific teams, they kind of function the same way. One more so than the other, but I mean, essentially, you're utilizing them for the same effect, and that is EZA Gotenks and EZA Kefla. Both of them have some pretty hyper offense, which is really good for their teams. Gotenks especially helping more specifically Majin Buu Saga. Kefla works really well on Universe Survival Saga teams. She works really well, obviously, on Peppy Gao's, on Roshi's team. She also works well on Super Saiyan 3 Goku's team, like the Gotenks does. Her thing is unlike Gotenks, she can get way more offensive the longer the fights go on. But more or less, in most fights, you're going to be seeing pretty similar offense out of the two. Kefla a little more so. But to me, I rank them both the same at number 10 because I think they are both extremely viable options still in all content currently on Global Dokkan. And they both essentially perform the same role. Dodge, hit back hard, dodge, hit back hard, transform, get stronger, dodge, hit back hard, right? It's a pretty fulfilling cycle for both of them. Gotenks, I almost want to give a little more of the edge because his dodge ends up being a little better towards the end. Kefla, however, her drawback is that her dodge is locked behind the orbs, which can come to bite you in certain situations. So that's why I place them both at number 10. All right, while both good, they both have sort of similar pluses and similar drawbacks. So that's kind of why I put them both there. Moving on to number 9. Now, initially this guy wasn't even on the tier list, but the Lord Slug celebration dropped, and there's hints of a Beerus and an STR Bojack EZA, which, by the way, STR Bojack's EZA may shift this entire thing, depending on how good he is. This is being recorded before his details are being announced, if they even get announced. But with that on the horizon, and likely to Bojack to provide what Frieza needs, you know, this is kind of anticipatory, but even with Slug on his own and Slug's team and the buffs that it has gotten, I actually want to put Frieza at number 9. He started off, right, really, you know, in a not so good place, but over the course, you know, with Super EZA Frieza and a couple other good Terrifying Conquerors, EZAs like the Turles, LR Turles that is, he's slowly creeping his way back in there, right? Defense is still going to be a problem with him, much like some of the other units here, but that's not what he's for, right? He can do enough to tank normals, which is kind of all you need him to do, but what he does is the same as Kefla. He spends out of control on that attack, which I really like, and I think that's worthy of a placement at number 9. I wouldn't put him much higher than that, and in fact, I could even see him swapping with Kefla and moving Kefla up and putting him and Gotenks at number 10, but I definitely think that this is a fair placement for him. He provides consistent offense, provided you set the team. But that's the other reason I can't put him much higher, is because his versatility, he's very, very much locked to that type of team. So that's why I can't put him much higher. But the trade-off is that, you know, the offense is there, the power is there, and the team that he's on is getting, so very much better. So that's why I put Frieza at number 9. Okay. Now for number 8, once again, we have 2 easy A's. We have Gohan and we have Exchange Boo. Now I place both of these at number 8 because they both, like Kefla and Gotenks, serve the same function within their team, right? On Majin Power or Extreme Majin Buu Saga, or, you know, Hybrids, Super Majin Buu Saga, whatever, you know, whatever team you're running Gohan in. Both of these units function the same. They're designed to be defensive walls. Gohan takes a little longer to build up, but his first turn can actually be pretty good. And if he procs the additionals on his first turn, and then has a safe second slot option, or even safe first slot in the turn 2, or second appearance rather, he can end up being at 1,000,000 defense by that point. With his guard, that ends up being more than enough to handle good situations. And even in Global's current content, which are short events against Janemba and Gogeta, they both actually really shine. Boo a little more so, but Gohan, you know, provided the setup is there, can actually live through both Janemba and Gogeta. I've done it. We've had several teams with it. We've done it with both of these, and I'm seeing pretty similar things between them. All right. So what Boo has over Gohan is, you know, the ability to be a lot more tanky turn 1, and then consistently throughout his transformation process, right? He then begins to cap off towards the end, right? Once he gets fully transformed and stacks up on Super Boo, whereas Gohan can keep going. But either way, like with the Kefla and Gotenks on their offense, these two, you know, more often than not, the defense is pretty similar given the amount of turns you're usually spending within a fight, right? It's gonna be, you're gonna be seeing pretty similar situations. You're going to be using them very, very similarly within their teams. Both of them have the option, like, to switch it up as well, right? By the time you get to Super Boo, he can perform a little bit more offensively, and then Gohan, obviously, we've seen how offensive he can become once you transform him into Ultimate Gohan, but given the state of fights on Global, it's kind of hard to place them more than that, right? They both perform really well in Gogeta and in Beast too, but the Janemba and Gogeta fights, while they can do well, are also a bit of a struggle for them. Just the nature of units that need to build up in that way, so that's why I can't put them higher, But also considering, Cell Max and Goku Frieza, which will be coming soon to Global, I can definitely see that this being a fair placement for the two of them. So moving on to number 7. Now, this was a surprise pick for me because I didn't anticipate putting him here, but I do think it's a fitting placement given what he's doing, right? Master Roshi, all right? Master Roshi is actually, he's a really interesting card. He's actually really good. He provides a lot for the teams that he's on, right? He's supporting, right, Turtle School, which Turtle School is, right, and Peppy Gals for that matter, but I'm kind of more focused on Turtle School for this. That's basically every Goku, more or less, which some of the best units in the game are Gokus, right? So, right, you have Tech UI, you have AGL UI, you have Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right? Some of the best units in the game have Gokus in them. And he can support them quite well, actually. Like the ridiculousness that he gives to them, right? This was a, not quite trio level support, but offensively he was doing for them what the trio was doing before their release, right? So, we got a taste. JP got a taste of this before the trio released, and then boom, the trio released and kind of did that for a lot more units than Roshi did. But Roshi himself is still good. On the right setup, of course, he is a bit limited to having Peppy Gals, right? You need at least 2 Peppy Gals on the team to run him effectively, which isn't that much of an ask, right? The AGL Bulma is actually really good. Videl can be pretty useful as well, or Kefla, right? Either one works really well for a rotation with Roshi floating, and then you have a Turtle School Goku rotation with him supporting. The support he provides allows those 2 rotations to just fly through events. Like, it's pretty astonishing. And then, of course, you have his active skill turn, which can make UI Goku do some pretty crazy numbers, but he himself does really well. He can tank just about every normal in the game, and the reality is his only danger is supers, which, as a 3rd slot floater, which is typically where he's going to be, it's not that much of an issue. Plus, his active skill does provide a heal, which, I mean, for me, that's always a huge bonus. Any active skill that provides a heal gets an instant bonus for me. That I cannot stress how important having your own heal within a team is. That, especially, when you're attempting no item runs. So that's why I place Roshi above these guys. Following that, we have the Fizz Topo. Now, prior to about a week ago, I don't think I would have placed Topo here, but having played around with him in the new stages against Gogeta and Janemba, and having tested him out on a more sort of Universe Survival Saga setup, with, of course, his proper support through Jiren and like Dispo and the Int Topo, having a second rotation with like UI Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta, for example, right? He actually does really well. He tanks Gogeta's super, post-super, of course. Well, I shouldn't say tank. He lives a Gogeta super, post-super, in his base form, and then once transformed, he tanks it. He straight up tanks it. Like, we took him in there, and he took it double digits post-super turn 1. Like, that wasn't it. Well, not turn 1, but first appearance, transformed. Okay? Add on the fact that the support he's providing, along with the Intopo support, while in base form, on top of AGL Jiren support, which will be coming to Global soon, on top of Tech UI Goku support. Just the team does so very well. Topo really handles just about every sort of content, and it was really surprising to me. I think a lot of people kind of forgot, maybe myself included, what exactly he was capable of, and for that reason, right, having tested him in Goku and the Gogeta fight and the Janemba fight, as well as revisiting his Grand Tour, I can definitely say he handles all current content on Global, and I know he handles Go Frieza. So, I mean, I definitely got to give it to him there. He's quite the unit. On top of being one of the bigger issues for him, though, of like a lot of the rest from 5 onward, is his hyper specificity, right? He does have to have those Defenders of Justice or those Universe 11 or those special pose allies, which isn't that big of a deal because, right, running the proper Universal Survival Saga setup, like, I mean, just a Dispo and a Jiren alone will handle it, which is why I kind of put him above some of the others, right? He's not as restricted. Although some of these guys aren't restricted. Well, Frieza is, but these guys, it's their downsides that don't allow me to put them higher. So that's the bottom 6. Before we move into the top 5, I wanted to add a funny little category. So I'm actually going to put I made a little category here for the drink and the can openers, right? Super Trunks and the droids. No matter what content has come out, I have found a way, utilizing the 2 of these guys, to complete it, right? We've done it with Gogeta, we've done it with Janemba, we've done it with Goku Frieza on our JP accounts, we've done it with Beast, we've done it with Supreme Magnificent Battle Gogeta. We've done it with Blue Kaioken and Evolution Blue Vegeta. Like, it just... A lot of people hated on Trunks when he released. A lot of people still hate on the androids now, but no matter what content comes out, there is still a way, there is still a strategy to utilize the 2. And the droids coming up on an easy A, I mean, it's fun. I had to give them their own plug here just because, despite all of the top 10, I still like utilizing these 2, and they're worthy of mentioning. So just a little funny category there. So now, the moment you've been waiting for, the top 5, right? So the top 5 is a really interesting pick because, to be entirely honest, beyond the top 5, everything beyond number 5, I could see an argument for interchangeability. Even between 4 and 5, I could see, to be completely honest. But we're gonna try to justify our placements here as best we can. So let's start with number 5. Number 5 is AGL Vegeta, right? A lot of people called this guy a fumble, and just because I don't know if they're still assessing him based on where he was at the beginning of the Namek Saga celebration, but by the end of it, his team is almost fully fleshed out. He has access to some really good units. He has access to Orange Piccolo. He has access to, now that Gohan and Piccolo, who with Orange Piccolo and with the new buff to Nail, right, make for an excellent rotation. We also have access to Blue Evolution Vegeta for a great revive for the team, and he himself is a great attack stacker. Combined with nuking and dodge, he's actually pretty darn good. We've taken him into Gogeta, we've taken him into Janemba, we've tested him against Goku Frieza. He works well in all of these stages. Viability is there, versatility is there. He's not as hyper specific as some of the others on this list, although some of his team is, but the reality is you're running them on his team anyways, like the Gohan and like the Krillin and Gohan and the Goku and Vegeta, right? Like, I mean, you're running them on his team anyways, so I mean, it works out. I think he is a lot better than people give him credit for. He can very easily get through most of the current content, and that's kind of why I have them at number 5, because I mean, they're his only real danger is turn 1 on Gogeta and Janemba. Beyond that, he can survive post-super to Gogeta and to Janemba. Add on to the fact that he can just straight up dodge it if you get AGL orbs. I mean, there's little I don't like about this card, and that's kind of why I put him at number 5. So let's move on to the top 4. Number 4 is an easy A. The Goten and Trunks. These guys are phenomenal. These guys are arguably one of the best TUR easy A's released thus far, although Bojack could change that very well once his details get released and we get to test him in game. But for now, I definitely think these guys do deserve the title of best easy A. Like, they are just crazy. They've got dodge, right? And they can slot into any team because, I mean, condition for Kamehameha allies, like, that's nothing. That is so easy to fulfill. Combined with, needing a Goten or Trunks to fulfill their unit super, incredibly easy to fulfill. There's so many good options now for either one of those. It works kind of well, right? We've taken them with even the sub easy A Int and Tech Goten and Trunks, right? They work in Gogeta and Janemba. The team works under Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So to be completely honest, they deserve their slot. The power, they have an overwhelming amount of power here that, once they get going, there's very few enemies that stand up against them, combined with a guaranteed dodge turn to help, kind of mitigate some damage on top of their already good chance to dodge. I mean, there's very little negative I can say about this unit, right? And they can even tank quite a few of the major supers in the game, or like Vegeta, just straight up dodge them. So I got to give it to them there. They are very well deserving of the placement at number 4. So that leaves the top 3, and the top 3 for me, I honestly, they're all interchangeable, and it is really more of a top 4 because you'll see how I have it out. So let's start with number 3. So number 3, I place Goku and Vegeta for almost the same exact reason I placed Gohan and Buu together, and Gotenks and Kefla. The reality is they are two sides of the same coin. They are both extremely versatile, although they have one minor condition each. Goku just needs another Majin Buu Saga ally, and Vegeta just needs another Goku. Very, very easy conditions to fill, so they're not as restricted as some of the others. So that's one. Second, their offense. Their offense is amazing. And in fact, they provide both, right? They provide both offense and defense. Vegeta defense while in base, stacking up infinitely with guard and damage reduction. Goku in slot 1 for the first 5 turns is indestructible. You can't kill him. He tanks Gogeta for double digits. That's how good he is. Then flip the script. Beyond turn 5, Vegeta then becomes incredibly defensive and offensive because you can transform him, and that, being as the more HP you deal, the stronger he gets. He becomes incredibly offensive. Conversely, Super Saiyan 3 Goku is more he becomes less defensive, although more offensive as you move him into slot 2 at that point, because you're not going to be putting him in slot 1 anymore once that runs out. So they're two sides of the same coin. Vegeta works very well in long events, right? Goku Frieza, one of his best events. Gogeta Beast, he works very well in those fights. Goku conversely works very well in short fights. They're two sides of the same coin designed to be used for two entirely different styles of fights. And that's kind of why I can't place one over the other, right? Because I see a lot of people, we put Vegeta in Janemba and he sucks, or against Gogeta and he sucks. Well, yeah, no duh. He is a stacking unit. He's not meant to be used there. But when you utilize him in the events where he's supposed to be used, like Goku Frieza, arguably his best event, he does extremely well. And conversely, the same is true for Goku. You take Goku into Goku Frieza, you're going to be having problems, especially as you get to some of the later phases, right? Not necessarily Goku Frieza themselves, but like the 17 phase, like that's a killer for him. It's understanding that both of them serve entirely different functions, but their functions are sort of similar depending on the style of fight you're doing, right? Long events for Vegeta, short events for Goku, you're going to see roughly the same thing. And that isn't to say both of them can be used in those fights that they don't work again. Vegeta does tank, well, I shouldn't say tank, but he survives a Gogeta Super Turn 2. He does. I've done it. I have the video. You guys can check it. He survives Gogeta Super turn 2. Goku, same thing, can survive against Goku Frieza, but it's not their ideals, right? That's not where they should be. So just, worthy of consideration. And it helps that they have some of the best leader skills in the game, covering a large swath of good characters. Okay, which brings us to our number 2. There's only 2 units left, so it's kind of hard for me to place this, all right? But we're putting Slug at number 2, and because some will say recency bias, but I mean, what he's doing for Villain's team is just, so phenomenal. Now, he is a little more restricted than some of the others, and I get that, but the restrictions really aren't that bad when you consider what they are. Demonic Power is a huge, is getting some pretty huge buffs, right? It's getting Piccolos. We know more is to come. It's got Orange Piccolo. It's got his banner unit, which are pretty good support and dodge units. He's getting a lot of other he will be receiving demonic power buffs, especially when we consider Daima coming in the future. So, I mean, the restriction isn't as bad as it seems. It's literally just 2 other characters plus himself as the friend lead, and that covers it. Like, it's nothing. He tanks every super in the game, like, straight up. His only worry is pre-super turn 1 from Gogeta. That's it. That's it. That's his most dangerous situation. Outside of that, even against Bulma, right? He tanks Bulma, Dark God Bulma once she comes out. Like, on top of that, he doesn't even need to tank her, right? Because he straight up stuns her, and it's a non-issue for him. He is great against every single fight currently on both Global and JP. He's got an amazing team, and quite possibly about to get one of the best support unit EZAs for his team that could send it just out of control. He is that good. He's got great offense for a TUR. Easily hitting over 18 to 20 million at Rainbow stats. And then, of course, right, what he's providing for his team. His turn 1 domain is incredibly useful. Having access to Tech Broly, having access to a lot of great options, Janemba, for team building among them. And just, again, being great for offense and being great for defense. He does it all, and that's kind of why I put him at number 2. Now, the reason where the build-up is here is for this guy here. I cannot in good faith put anyone over Boo. Boo is the single most versatile unit in the game. Well, single most versatile TUR in the game. Boo does it all. He stacks. Offense, not quite there, right? But it's enough. Right? He stacks defense. He has guard. He has a revive. He has an usher, right? Like, he is the perfect unit. You need defense, he's there. You need to stall a turn, throw him in slot 1, let him die. Next turn, you have a second stall turn with an usher. Then he continues to stack and gets only better from there once he's dead, right? Before that, he's still stacking, right? And his defense can get to a point where you might not even be able to kill him, which I have had happen before, right? He is just that good. Factor all of that in, like, that alone is enough for me to push him into number 1. But then factor in the last piece, versatility. This dude can be run off lead and still be good. I have had him stack up enough off lead that he survives with a 0% leader skill. Like, that's how good he is. I think that alone is enough to push him into the number 1 spot. He is the most versatile TUR in the game. It's kind of the same reason I made a special category for these two, because it's a lot of that like the androids, the ability to run off lead just simply for the sake of the usher. I mean, it is such a useful ability. It makes for some really fun turns, some really fun shenanigans. But Boo is definitely deserving of that placement. He works in every single piece of content currently on both Global and JP. He does what he does no matter how many turns it takes. Like, it's just, he's that good. He is arguably better than every single unit on this list, and I would even put him above a lot of other LRs on an LR list, if I'm being completely honest. Like, it just, he's that useful. So that is my tier list. I know it's a lot to process, it's a lot to comprehend, but this is just my opinion. This is how I would rank these units based on my experience with them, based on how I utilize these units within the teams that they're on. Of course, this is always just my opinion, and you're welcome to disagree with it. In fact, I would happily love to hear your list in the comments down below and your explanations for your placements. If you agree or disagree with any of my picks, feel free to let us know in the comments down below. Give your reasoning and your explanations in the comments, of course. And, as I said in the beginning, let's try to be kind and be respectful. I know it seems silly to say that, but we know how tier list conversations can go. And if the conversations go well, I may consider doing this for other things like LRs, or continue to do this monthly as we get new TURs. Let us know if that's something you'd be interested in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha!